Good morning, everybody. Hello, Linda, Rachel, Silver, Jen, Laura, Kia. Hello, my friends. More second. Felt like I was getting oh, hello, perfect timing. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Wow, 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 wow. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Thanks for being here, guys. So good news in Texas runoff. Chelsea Hockett, who we've talked to a couple times now, won her runoff. So she is the nominee in Texas's 5th district. Other good-ish news, Chip Roy lost his runoff for Texas Attorney General. So he is just another one of the pieces of shit that will no longer be at least in office right now, which I'm not sad about in any way, shape, or form. Hey, Angel. Chip Roy. Well, I didn't look into the person that won, but I'm always going to be happy when Chip Roy is out of politics. Yeah. The only person getting out that would make me happier at this point is Jim Jordan. And what's his face? Jim Comer. Good morning, Maureen. But yeah, so Chip Roy lost. I would party if Cruz was gone. That's true as well. Unfortunately, Dax did not win his runoff in the 1st district. I didn't look yet into the person who did win, but we got to know Dax because I interviewed him. And as you see above my head, we now know that James Talarico will be going up against the piece of shit Paxton. Colin Alred 1-2. Yep, that's right. Al Green lost. Not that I'm sad to see Al Green lose, but who he lost to was actually really surprising. Just because I know, at least in general, people liked Al Green. But he lost the primary to a young progressive. Cruz is Jesus compared to Paxton. That's true. What's up, Scott? How you doing, buddy? I always spell it wrong. Coming talking about your friend Jesus out of the gate. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that all of these people losing in the way they did opens a real door, but yes. We'll see. This is going to be the wildest 4 months ever. By the way, if you haven't gone and watched the episode that I posted this morning, make sure you watch it after. I interviewed the guy who in 2026 probably has the worst last name in all of politics, but he is running to help the state of Georgia. So if you haven't gone to watch it, make sure you do. And you will understand exactly what I mean. Straight up the worst name in all of politics to have in 2026. But the last name I wasn't prepared for. Anything is better than Trump as a last name? Disagree. Hard disagree, Kia. Hard disagree. He's awesome. Just got done watching it. Poor guy. Seriously. I think it's for him, it's like, well, I think this last name would make you physically ill too. So. Democrats were focused on 5 states for Senate, North Carolina. If you replied, I missed it. Double ads that time. Is his name going to make you want to laugh or throw up? You know, I'm going to let you figure that out. No, it's not that last name. I don't think I asked. But no, Silver. That would be a bad last name too, but I would be amazed if anyone had that last name. No, this is like a 2026 bad last name. Oh, yeah. I mean, it opens up conversation, doesn't it? Can't argue that. You know, people... My only fear is that people won't be able to check the mark, but you never know. You never know. You guys remember that Board of Peace that people had to pay $1 billion into? There was a report today that they have received no money yet. I saw that report. That cracked me up. Nobody has paid a dime to get into that race or into that. They're all in it, but they haven't paid a dime. Morning, Summer. What that was about? It was the board that was supposed to help rebuild Gaza and keep peace over there or something like that. That was what the current administration said it was about, at least. color me shocked that it's not. That man wouldn't know peace if his life depended on it. Literally, the whole thing is disgusting. If we're being honest with ourselves, it's all freaking gross. Supposed to keep peace in the whole world. How's that working out, right? Well, if I ever wondered if we made it past wintertime, today's the day. Gonna be toasty up here. 90? It's gonna be warm, but insanely humid. Like, it's gonna be so freaking humid today. I can already feel it. I think this weekend it's supposed to cool down more. But it's like, it's just rainy and humid. Yeah, it looks like starting Sunday we're going to be in the 70s, which will be nice. But it's like, it's just, I mean, maybe I hope we're catching up on rainfall, because it's just, we're getting just nonstop rain. Like, it stops, but it's like, it's just raining on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. Guys, I'm excited. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Kaylee Peterson. If you don't remember that interview from a long time ago, she won her primary. So we're going to bring her back and do another interview with her and catch up and see how things are going. Excited about that interview. Y'all can have your heat back in the South. I mean, four days of rain in a row up here. Dude, I'd rather have that be your headline than what the headlines in Jersey are right now, Scott. Having a senator be pepper sprayed by ICE. Got my portable AC unit in yesterday. Feels much better. Yep. Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah. They've got a ICE facility or whatever that's pretty bad. And the the senator was trying to calm things down, and they pepper sprayed him. So, I mean, Kia, that feels like my childhood. We had one like window unit growing up, and it was in our living room. The rest of the house was hot as hell. So if you wanted to be cool, you went into the living room and you just knew it was going to be warm everywhere else. That could be state charges. I mean, I'll be interested to see where it goes from there. But this is going to be, these next 4 months are going to be so freaking wild. Yeah, we basically, so growing up, what we would do is we had the AC in the living room and every other door had to be closed because we weren't cooling the whole house. And then right before bed, we would open up the doors and put box fans in front of every room and pull in as much of the cold air from the living room as possible into all of our bedrooms before we went to sleep. I don't think Cheryl will take the sitting down. She's tough. I hope not. I hope there's, I mean, again, I hope there's friggin' accountability for once for people. I could have just camped out in the living room all summer. I would have just camped out in the living room all summer. I mean, we turned it off overnight. It wasn't on. That's why we would try and get it all into our bedrooms, because it would be like, we'd only run it because it was expensive. We would only run it, you know, during the heat of the day, kind of a thing. And then we'd just pull as much as possible into the bedrooms before it, like, right when it went off, kind of a thing. Just hot. That's fair. I mean, some days I feel like I barely have air conditioning in my house, at least in my office, because I got one little vent, things like that big. And I got 3 monitors and a computer. So, like, I get out of my office and it's like so much cooler everywhere else. There will be accountability soon enough. Democrats will take the House and beginning to think a great chance in the Senate. Well, I mean, things will start coming out. The kind of accountability we want will be hard if, you know, still with this administration. But we'll see. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. For those of you that just got here more recently, if you didn't hear the news we talked about, so Chelsea Hockett, who we've had on a couple times, won her runoff. So she is the Democratic nominee for Congress for District 5 in Texas. Chip Roy lost his bid to be the nominee for Attorney General. Not sad at all. And as we have up here, Talarico is going up against piece of shit Paxton. Colin Allred also won his, so he's going to be the nominee for the, I want to say the 15th district. I can't remember the numbers. Yeah, I didn't have that, April. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the voting ends up being like in Texas this election cycle. Even though I really didn't want Talarico to win, I still hope we get the seat. Yep. Yep. You know, I almost made a video where I just started yelling. Just nonstop. It was going to be an entire video of me yelling at everybody. Because I'm so done in so many ways with people acting as though the general election is the same as primaries. And the stuff people are saying is just driving me nuts. Now, again, I have and am letting independents get their voices out who are running. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're, you know, especially in some of these states where the chances of a Democrat winning were slim anyways. I'm like, you know, maybe an independent's got a shot. Like in Tennessee, the person I just posted yesterday who's running as an independent in Tennessee. Not sure Tennessee ever has a shot for a Democratic governor. Maybe an independent. I feel like we're almost at this point where we need to independent certainly has a shot in Nebraska. Yep. Especially now. And these days that's been a not great combination. Yep. And you know, I pushed her on it. And that was why I pushed her on it. I'm just past that interchange. I mean, I hear you. And if it were me, I wouldn't focus on those words, on that wording, even if I were running in her stead, in her case. But also, you know, oh, that's where you are in it. Gotcha. I see. Hey, Lisa. Do you have an appointment? I feel you. I appreciate you being here. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I just don't know what to do about it. I know it's not my fault, but it's frustrating. It's like they're basically doing this to try and encourage people to get premium. I think that's why they're doing it, to be honest. Morning, Dee Dee. Still better than TikTok? That's fair. That's fair. It worked for you because I couldn't handle the ads anymore. The money's worth me my not getting aggravated on the daily. That's fair. How are you doing, Dee Dee? Maybe someday I will grow enough that I can start going live on like Patreon or something, and then I don't have to worry about all this bullshit. Working from home, not feeling great. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, his family's made even more than that. Got to add in the rest of the family too. Guys, if you're over here and coming in, please start tapping. You're over here on TikTok. That's exactly why, and I'm about to give in. No, you're fine. You don't have to apologize. Hey, Courtney, never apologize. In the end, I don't want people to tap if they don't like what's going on anyways. I just remind people that it helps. Morning, Jamie. Honestly, I don't even know what's better anymore. I just want people to be here and talk and have a good conversation. I honestly don't care. I feel like nothing I do. I'm seeing a video now saying that if you are a political content creator, you need to start making some content, like lifestyle-ish kind of content, if you want to not be shadow banned. So I don't know. I don't know anymore. Oh, I know you do, and all of you do. Bella's mom. But I mean, I've even noticed that my content isn't getting pushed out to people. I mean, I've got 115,000 followers on TikTok, and I'm lucky if my stuff gets, you know, a couple hundred views. No matter what I do in the beginning, no matter how good of a hook I try and do. Maybe once a month I get one that actually like hits. Morning, Jeremiah. How you doing, buddy? Morning, Jeffries. Good morning, OC. Grab the charger, forgot the phone stand. Over here, yes, about 6 minutes ago, Adrian. I start 30 minutes earlier over on the Tube of You. Hey, yo. Hey, Wendy. Nursing an allergy head cold. It sucks. Ugh. That's the friggin' worst. It's the worst. Morning, AJ. Hope everyone had a good day yesterday. We were talking about it a little before, but um but as you can see here, James Talarico is going up against piece of shit Paxton. Also some good things that came of it. Chelsea Hockett, who has been on this channel a couple times, won her runoff in District 5. And Chip Roy lost his runoff for Attorney General. Goodbye and good riddance. Colin Allred won his runoff. District 5 is where? It is near Dallas. Part of Dallas County is District 5. I mean, arguably Paxton winning is good news too, because he is just a piece of shit. Hello, William. Dr. William. How are you doing? Correct. Although on the positive side, when he loses, he will be out of, well, he'll be partially out of politics. I'm sure he'll find a way to weasel his way back in, but at least for a good amount of time, he won't have a voice in, at least for an amount of time, he won't have a voice in politics, which won't be a bad thing. Think Talarico can win Texas? Yes, especially with Paxton being the other choice. I think he has a better chance of winning against Paxton than he did against Cornyn. Is it a guarantee? No, but I think you're going to see a lot of people. I think you're going to see a lot of Republican voters just not vote, at minimum in the Senate seat, because of who the choice is. Well, then I hope a lot of people get out and vote, because, again, the more people get out and vote, the harder it is to rig. According to me, what? No, I do not. Are you surprised that Al Green lost? Yes and no. I think there is a huge movement for getting younger candidates, and as good of a man as Al Green is, I think the push for younger candidates is just really big right now. I appreciate you stopping in, Cheerful Chaos. How are you? Am I surprised by the margin of victory with Paxton? No, I'm not. I think if you look at who the people that are most likely to come in and vote in a runoff, they're the people that would be the biggest supporters of Trump. Paxton defeated the Democrat. Paxton hasn't defeated anybody. You think Cornyn is a Democrat? Ah. I think more moderate Democrats are just done. I think they're just done. Or moderate Republicans. I think moderate Republicans are just done everywhere. Like they're tired of this. Hello, Alejandra. How are you? I think some will vote Democrat and some will stay home. I think some will, when they vote, they will skip over certain seats. Like they just won't vote in some of them. How goes it, Max? It's going well. How are you? Again, I just hope people come out and vote. Fighting with keypad. Hey, you know, I feel that. I feel that. I think so too, Scott. I just hope, again, I just hope the numbers are so, again, we know that this administration is going to try and fight against every result, which is why we need to make the victory so big that the idea that their arguments look stupid, you know, that's where we need to go with this. Does Talarico have a large war chest? Yes. Oh, I mean, when base fundamentals become politics, we've lost the plot. Yes. And I've said this before, Max. The reason that there is a division to the level that we're at is because we have lost agreement on fundamentals. Republicans know the current Republican majority of the party, at least the one that gets out and votes and does things, stands for things that go against at least my fundamentals. I think a lot of people's fundamentals. And we're letting, right now, currently, we're letting politics any insight in our governor's race? You got or the Senate? There's a lot of really amazing people, Michael, running for office. I actually just posted an episode today. I've posted a couple. I've interviewed a few people that are running for state seats in Georgia today. If you don't go watch, you need to go watch it. I posted an interview today with someone who's running for a Georgia legislature. Worst name in politics, but he's a really cool dude, and you need to go support him and all the other people. But there's a lot of amazing people running for office in Georgia. I haven't looked into the governor's race as much. I have to look into that one a little bit more. Senate, I think Ossoff's going to win. Ossoff. I don't remember his name. Lance Bottoms is the Democratic. Yes, right. I did remember seeing that when I was watching the results come in. Ossoff, yeah. She did amazingly well in the primary. Well, I'll have to definitely look into her. Maybe even reach out, see if I can get an interview. I've gotten to interview a few people that are running for governor. I like the governor conversations better, actually. Like, don't get me wrong. I love talking with the people that are running for Congress. and even state seats, but there's something about the people that are running for governor. There's such an overlap of federal and state with a governor position that I think the conversations end up being like really good. Sorry, I'm here multitasking. Oh, you're good. You're good, Summer. I appreciate you being here. Hey, Patty. It's also funny watching oil go down on hopes of a peace deal or ceasefire, because like there's not. We know there's not. The only people actually talking that saying that we're close to a deal is the US. No one else is saying we're close to a deal. It's kind of hilarious. Shocker. Non-useful. Shocker. How do you know? Because nobody else is saying it. Because for the last 2 months, every week he said we're close to a deal, so his buddies can make money on oil trade, on futures trading. And you know what's never happened? Prove it. Okay. I don't need to prove it. It's already been proven. For the last 2 months, he has said we were close to a deal, and no deal has actually happened. We don't even really have a ceasefire. Community people can come up if they want. Different day, same talking points. Yeah, that's all this administration has. Different day, same stuff. They don't say anything different. Nothing actually changes. Nothing has changed.
Do you have any point to make, Liver Lips? Seriously, do you have any point that you would like to bring up? Other than trolling, that is. Do you have any point that you would like to bring up? Do you have anything intelligent to say?
Nope, not anymore.
No, they don't. You know, something I heard actually, they were discussing like that whole 2 weeks thing, and they were saying like, I can't remember if they quoted like some kind of study or some kind of research or something, that 2 weeks is about as far out as somebody is willing to kind of wait, that people overall are willing to wait. You don't want to say a month, that's too long, you know, but 2 weeks is a good solid amount of time that people usually don't get impatient. And it's like kind of like a psychological thing. And I was like, you know, I guess that kind of makes sense. But damn, I couldn't even imagine the first 2 weeks. If you didn't get it the first 2 weeks, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, literally every week at the end, like at the end, right before the stock market closed, or right at the beginning of the week, he would say they're close to a deal or something like that. I forget when he would do it. He'd say at the end of the week, and then for oil and all this other stuff. It's just manipulation. It's always been manipulation.
Usually on Sunday nights.
Yeah, that's right.
He did that 3 times in a row on Sunday nights. Over $7 billion in oil futures trading was done 2 minutes before his post went. So 2 minutes. Normally, in a normal functioning government, that would trigger an SEC investigation, and that would trigger an FBI investigation. Needless to say, there's no investigation. Who made that $7 billion? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can guess who got a cut out of it.
Or if not now, in the future.
Yep. Good morning, James.
Good morning, James. Good morning,
quite an interesting election last night. I mean, certainly no great surprise that Paxton won, but there are a few things that I think are important. Up to now, the Democrats have been focusing, and justifiably so, on the 4 seats that they think are most likely to flip, in order from most probable to just regular probable: North Carolina, Maine, Ohio, and Alaska. After last night, Texas joins that list, certainly tied with Ohio and Alaska as a chance to flip the state. And there's a reason why. Senator Cornyn has shown a remarkable ability throughout his political career of being able to get a lot of crossover vote. For those of you not familiar with the term crossover vote, it means getting disaffected Democrats to vote for him and getting independents to vote for him. Mr. Paxton has no such ability. He is literally toxic among independents, and he's toxic among Bush Republicans. And Mike was talking a little bit about this on the other side, and I do agree. I don't really see Bush Republicans voting for Talarico. What I do see them doing is staying home. Paxton, the key to him winning in November is going to be turnout, and I think he's going to have a little bit of difficulty with that.
Or at minimum, not voting on that, like skipping the Senate vote and voting for something farther
that's what
down.
I mean. Yeah, as far as he's concerned, they're not voting because they're not voting for him.
Right.
And they're not voting in the Senate race whatsoever. One of the interesting things, and I keep pointing it out, that we always have to caution: Texas is an R14 state. Well, it is and it isn't. Biden only lost it by about 5.5. It was 14. It was actually 13.6 in the last election. What's really important in Texas is the huge amount of Hispanic votes. They have a massive sized Hispanic community. And as we've seen both in the polling and in the actual elections, the 100 special elections, also the elections in Virginia and New Jersey that took place, the Hispanic vote has completely bounced back for the Democrats. It's literally at the Clinton numbers where you're up anywhere between 30 and 40 point plurality. Now, let's go to 2024 when Harris lost. This will give you an idea of how important that is. In 2024, if Vice President Harris had done just as well, no better, no worse, just as well as Hillary Clinton did in Texas, just among Hispanic voters, forget Gen Z, just among Hispanic voters, that state would have been tied. That is how important that demographic is.
Mm-hmm.
And Talarico is running at just about Clinton numbers. And he's running better than Biden numbers. And he also has to work hard to make sure that the core Democratic constituencies, namely young and black voters, remain in his camp. He's doing exceptionally well, and he did in the primaries with young voters and with progressives. He had a little bit of trouble with older voters, but they're not going to vote for Paxton. And he's running, in the polling that I've seen, 51 points up among black voters. So he's made up a lot of the ground that he may have lost in the primary. He's worked hard at it, and Jasmine Crockett's in his corner, and I think that that's going to help him in November. So what does that mean? It means we're going to have a very close election. This ain't going to be no 14-point election. This is going to come down. Last night they called the election after an hour. I can assure you in November it's going to take a little bit longer than that. And as for the money, Talarico is a cash register, obviously. He's raised more money than any candidate running anywhere in the United States, more than anyone. He is just raking in the cash. And Democrats, when they get a hot candidate, will tend to do that. Paxton has not raised much money. He was drastically outspent by Cornyn. But Democrats are wishing past the graveyard on this one. Don't worry, that Republican money will flow into Paxton. He'll get it now. So it's going to be a very expensive Senate race, and both candidates are going to end up being very well funded.
One thing I will say, because like I've been in spaces, especially like Black spaces, I will tell you, like in Texas, Talarico has to make sure that even though he's the one that's in the primary, that he doesn't forget, both the Hispanic and the Black vote. There's a lot of people mad, but I have seen a lot of Black folks out here fighting to get people to not just get disenfranchised and to keep voting. And listening to some of these folks, talking, especially when you hear some of these older Black folks like your age or a little bit older come up on panels, especially in these states where they're out here doing the racial gerrymandering now, and how it makes them feel. I just hope that is, ow, Shador, you have claws, bruh. Sorry. I just hope that he doesn't forget those communities, and I hope that he makes sure he uses some money, and not just the money on TV, but actually gets out there and keeps talking to those communities, and don't make them, because a lot of folks are feeling like they have to vote for Talarico even if they don't want to, because they still want the Dems to have the seat, and a lot of people are struggling with that choice. So I just hope that he doesn't turn into a damn Fetterman, and I hope that he doesn't forget and gets out there and keeps trying to work for those votes. He has to earn those votes, and I think that's the one thing. Like there was somebody in the chat, and he was just saying, he's like, I vote blue. He's like, but it gets frustrating for people to just expect because I'm Black that I have to vote blue, and it's like I feel like nobody's trying to work for my vote. And he's like, Talarico's got to work for my vote. He's like, it can't just be given because we want that seat. And he was like, it's kind of frustrating when people just keep trying to shove it down your throat, like you have to vote this way, when you feel like you're being ignored. And it's going to be a double whammy if he does ignore them. I hope he does earn them, because we do need that seat.
Well, he's been doing, I think, a pretty good job of it. He's campaigning with Obama. He's speaking at Black colleges. He's got Jasmine Crockett's endorsement, which I think is important. He went to Jesse Jackson's funeral. He's making the right moves. Whether that ends up working, that remains to be seen. And as I said, the polling shows that that's not an issue. His support in the Black community, he's running plus 51 points. There's a very interesting comment. Thank you, Cog Harker. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your title. How are Talarico's demos versus Beto? That's the question, isn't it? That's the most important question in this race, because the national mood is almost identical to 2018. To remind everybody in chat, in 2018, Beto O'Rourke almost beat Ted Cruz. He lost by about 2.6 points. So how are Talarico's numbers against Ted Cruz? Number one, as vile as Ted Cruz is, he is Jesus Christ on the Mount compared to Paxton. Paxton is completely toxic. Cruz was merely unpopular. Paxton is toxic. Secondly, in the demos, he's doing a little bit better than Beto was done in 2018. In 2018, Beto was close in every bit of polling, and he was close on election day, but he never led a single poll. Talarico has led every poll against Paxton since last January, every single one of them. Now, my only caution there is that I know everybody says the Republicans have ripped themselves to shreds in this primary, so much blood spilled, blah, 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 blah. Folks, we all know Republicans, they always come home. They circle the wagons. Democrats would be very foolish to think that they're not going to have to fight. And like Kia said, they're going to have to fight for every damn vote. And that's especially important, not just the Hispanic vote, where Talarico did very well in the primaries on and is doing very well in the polling now, doing fantastically in the polling. But he can't take them for granted. He cannot take the black vote for granted. He's going to have them all, because it is Texas. You're going to have your complete coalition. You're going to have to be firing on all cylinders. And I think he knows that.
I think this is one of those times where I almost feel like the data is like, this is one of those moments where I get frustrated when I talk about how, like, listening to people who live in that community feel, and like hearing about the numbers, I kind of feel like it's almost kind of like dismissive, and I don't think you're trying to be on purpose, but it's frustrating when I'm trying to tell people how people are feeling about it, and the response I get is numbers, because I'm talking about, like, these are the same people who during the campaign who were asked by the campaign, by Talarico's campaign, to, help promote him and do all these things. And then they just totally, the Talarico team fell off on their back end. And these people were very upset. They're like, you asked us for what did you need to do, and you didn't do not one thing that we told you that you should do. You asked us where we should go. You didn't go any of those places. You thought our voices were important enough to ask, but then you didn't follow through. And that's what people are worried about. And I don't know if those kind of discussions are going to come through in a poll. And that's the only thing. Like, sometimes, like, when I'm talking about like that kind of stuff, it's just talking about, because like a poll of a few thousand people, I still struggle with polls. I don't have as much faith in them as you do, Scott. And I get it. Like, it's been something you've been doing a long time, but since the polls have been very wrong for a lot of things for me, but it is kind of frustrating sometimes, because I feel like when folks are talking about what's upsetting, and that you're met back with numbers and how polls are going, it seems like it's kind of being just missed. Just like with the folks that live out in the Midwest, how they feel, like the Dems have just totally just kind of left them, because they're not big money makers. They don't have giant, places for them to come and get 40, 50,000 people. Like, they kind of feel left behind. That's what I'm speaking of. And it's like, people will do, because let's face it, how many elections have black people just voted for Dems anyway, because they don't have black people to vote for that run for them? Like, the representation is not that huge. I mean, we voted for every president except for two that have, everybody else has been a white man, except for the 2 times that Obama won. That's the thing. Like, people are just getting kind of frustrated with the Dems. And I think that's where we have to make sure that when people are talking about that stuff, that their response that they're getting, or the reply they're getting, isn't polling numbers and data, because it makes us feel like nobody's listening.
Well, I thought I made myself clear when I said that your points were valid, and he has to go into those communities and earn their votes. I was simply pointing out what the data is saying. So
Here, the reality of all of this is it's going to take a lot of work by a lot of people. No one who is running should ever take anyone for granted. And the fact that the Democratic Party has taken groups for granted for a long time is a problem, is an absolute problem that needs to get looking at the hard part about doing all of this is it is important to look at the data, but it's also important to listen to the people. And again, I'm not saying you didn't do that exact thing, Scott. I'm just saying, I'm talking more in general, in a general state, that we as a whole, when we're having these conversations, we need to be willing to sit there and listen to the reality of what people are thinking and feeling, and understand what data is coming out from people. And Sometimes that will mean we need to not talk about data for one conversation. Sometimes that'll mean that's all we have to talk about. It's none of this is cut and dry. Let's put it that way. We are dealing with, I wouldn't say something that is unprecedented, although I will say the pushback and the way that, especially not just the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party and the FARs on both sides of the aisle are interacting in a world that is so much controlled by social media and the internet. I think it's just we're dealing with a lot. We're dealing with a lot of emotion. We're dealing with a lot of problems. That's more than the data. That's more than data can give to people, because I think what we're dealing with right now is something that is more personal to a lot of people. Controlled by emotions. We're all controlled by emotions. All of us. Every single one of us. We are controlled by our emotions. Literally every single person on this, in the globe, is controlled by their emotions. Whether or not what helps with your emotions may be different, but everyone, your opinions, your perspectives, everyone. So we need to stop acting like emotions are a bad thing, because literally it's all emotions. I mean, I think there is a problem of purity testing. I don't think that's the case with Talarico. I think there is a problem with
I
purity
don't think
testing.
anything that I just said had
I never-
anything to do with
Nope. I don't think it did either.
purity testing. Like I get frustrated. I'm frustrated. And as you can see by Summer's comments, she's frustrated as well. I get frustrated because when I try to explain to people how people feel, I feel like I get dismissed a lot, even on people who are quote unquote on our sides. Sometimes it's just times to listen and take it and understand that what's being talked about doesn't have anything to do with polls, because these people are not out here asking Black people, like, how does it feel to have to continually feel like we are literally watching our voting rights being stripped a fucking way. And it comes off as real easy to start talking about what the polls say. And then when I say something and the response back is, again, that is so frustrating. I am really frustrated. I don't know if you can hear me. Like I said, I think it's frustrating. And Baku, I need you to move. I am frustrating. I'm frustrated. I feel like I'm getting dismissed again. This is not the first time I've brought it up, and I get the same kind of response, whether it's in somebody in the panel or in the chat. I get the same thing, and it is so fucking dismissive. There's not a lot of Black people in this space. So when we speak up, we would hope that you would be listening to us. And the responses that I'm getting doesn't make it feel like you're listening to me. I am really upset. And I will tell you, I'm going to read what Summer said. So let's just get this out of the way. There are times when these conversations can feel dismissive, and pushing back about it doesn't help. It's part of the reason I've been so quiet lately. And this isn't the first time she said it, and it keeps getting brought up because it keeps happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating. We should be upset. And I just want people to understand. Well, folks, I still say, I sit here and still say, we need that seat. In order to make a change, we need that seat. But I understand why people are feeling so pissed off. And the fact that they're like, okay, we're going to vote. And then the polls get thrown in their face. Fuck the polls. The polls ain't got shit to do with how it makes us feel. Our voting rights are actively being attacked right now. Yes, I do vote. I vote every single time. I've also gotten my sons to vote who are Black men in this country. And this is part of the reason, like, it's frustrating because people are not listening to the BIPOC communities, the Black and brown people. Like, no one is listening.
Bruin Fran, shut up.
Like, I need people, like, what's happening right now in this country, there's a lot of bad shit. And I think part of the reason why we got here is, first of all, like, the we don't talk about politics bullshit. That's part of why we're listening, why it's happening. And the fact that it's been so quietly, and some places not so quietly, been happening where people in marginalized communities are just having our rights and everything just stripped away, and things are just happening. But because the laws don't say it's against Black people, like, that is just, I'm sorry. I think I think I should probably go ahead and go, because I don't know if I can. I'm like really fucking pissed off. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired.
I'll make you.
Tell you the truth, Mike, I think I'm going to go too.
Okay. Hello.
Say hi. What happened? I came in late. I don't even know what happened.
We were talking about the results in the Texas runoff, and Kia was talking about how, especially the minority vote, they need to work for it. And then, you know, Scott, because that's what he does, was talking about the polls that he was seeing and how unpopular Paxton is. And that just was not, whether it was the right timing or not, I don't know. This is, it did not get read
Received well.
It did not get received
Apparently.
well.
Yeah. Poor Kia.
And
I hate to see that. And I understand the frustration. I mean, obviously, not as a person of color, but as, you know, just as somebody in general, you know, we are constantly being ignored. Just the establishment.
and again, I understand the frustration. I don't, here's the thing, and again, I'm just sitting here trying to process, because I don't think there's an easy answer. because we do have I don't know.
Right now is that we got the young coming in, which I still laugh at when I say young, because we're talking about 40, 30, in that area. We got the young coming in, and we got the old holding on for dear life. And the old is dismissing the young. And the young are empathetic. The young are old enough to know better now. And we're trying to do better. And you have those people that are in power, that have been comfortably in power, whether they have nefarious motivations or not, they're still ignoring the young. And I don't know, I guess it's because they're going to lose their power. They're going to lose their cushy seats where they get to just walk on the floor one time and vote and collect their salary and watch the world burn while they sit in their towers. I don't know what it is, but I'm a delegate now, and a precinct chair now. I applied for all the things. So unfortunately now I've been in the rooms, in those back rooms that I've always heard about, and didn't really know what that was until I sat there and saw it firsthand for myself. And I'm going, what do you mean electability? You've been losing for 20 years. I don't think you know what electability is anymore. And
Philip, I know you didn't mean to upset her. You've been in this community long enough that I know that wasn't your point. And I think that is what those of us that are still here need to hear. So, and you need to hear me when I say this. This is where we have problems in communicating. So in your mind, you're seeing here and you're seeing what's going on, and you're saying you're seeing the problem and you're seeing the outcome, or you're seeing the solution, and what you're seeing is that. And when you hear somebody else, such as Kia, and again, I'm just using it because that's what happened here, say what they're saying, your brain goes problem, solution. And you say, and you just go, we need to stop with all of this XYZ. The problem with that statement is it's a very black and white statement. It literally ignores what they are feeling at that moment. And that is the part that we need to get past in these conversations. I understand that that's your mentality, and I agree that there is a problem with purity testing in this country. I agree with that. But I do not think that every situation is a purity test. I think there is actual issues that we need to deal with. I don't think the black community, the black vote, black people being frustrated at what is going on right now and the realities of what they are experiencing, and the fear that they are experiencing when it comes to what's happening in this country is a purity test. I think when we see purity testing, what we see is white people on other white people. That is where you're seeing the purity testing. This is not that. And I think that's where the and I mean, there's probably others that I don't know about, but this is where I think part of the frustration from many in the black community is so many people that aren't dealing with this situation in the same way that they are just doing the exact same thing, which is saying this administration bad. We just have to get rid of this administration. We have to get rid of Republicans, and you need to ignore everything you are experiencing and get on board with it, instead of saying you're right and then leaving it at that. Sometimes that is all that needs to be said, and we feel this need to, I don't know, to say more, to feel like we're, I don't know what, because I feel the need sometimes too. I feel like sometimes there's this, we feel this need, and again, we're dealing with our own fear. All of us, anyone who's a progressive is dealing with some level of fear. I am. Not a fear for me, but definitely a fear for people in my life because of what this administration and the GOP want this country to look like. But that does not change the realities of what people such as Kia are experiencing because of what's going on. And that is where we have to get better at what we're doing. Again, we'll have to see what I hope we can come back, however, when, and start having a lot of these conversations again, because we need people like Kia in this community. We need more people like Kia in this community, because we as people with my skin tone need to spend more time listening. And yeah, sometimes it gets hard, especially when you are a data person. Data can feel comforting.
Yep.
And I don't blame people for going to the data when things feel when things are frightening. That being said, sometimes it's just not the right place for it. And again, I'm not saying whether this case was or wasn't the right place. I'm saying this is why we need to learn how to do this all better.
Well, we've all been lost in this social media conversation pool. We've been, what was it, our age? We got MySpace in high school, middle school, and so people just forgot how to talk anymore. Just holding basic conversations. I know when I go, I'm starting to do more interviews now, and I can't even finish a full thought anymore, because it's like, okay, I want to talk about affordability, but now I got to talk about, well, healthcare would help affordability, but then so would this, that, and the other, this and that and the other. And there's so many intersectionalities to it that, we've just been, first it started with blogs, you used to go read a blog, or, and then they started. Yes, MySpace top 8. Absolutely. That's how you know I'm mad at you. But we got, pulled in many different directions. So it's very hard to remember that there still is, interpersonal relationships that we have to work on. It was, if she wants to, express her frustration and her anger about these things, whenever the voting rights got gutted, I couldn't even make a video. I wanted to speak out about it. I wanted to say something about it, but I just couldn't. I was too mad.
Yeah.
And
Philip, I hear you. A lot of people said she didn't earn my vote, and it was very frustrating. Here's the thing. I think the reason, and this is why it's important that we look back at it, and we need to understand, and we need to listen to people. There were two different groups of people that said that they So I think the biggest problem that we have is they do need to earn our vote. I literally 100,000% agree. And you want to know the times where I sit here and I consider not voting and voting for third party or whatever the most is when I'm told that I have to vote X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop with that. It doesn't matter how frightening it is. It doesn't matter how it doesn't reality doesn't matter. Like we need to get past this idea of voting X, Y, and Z no matter who.
Yeah, vote blue no matter who. That was the quickest way to get me to not vote at all.
So what we need to be doing is not spending time saying you need to vote for Talarico because he's not a Republican. We need to vote for Talarico because of whatever reason. We have to vote against fascism. See, again, our goal is not to tell people what they have to do. Do you like being told what you have to do? Do any of us like being told what we have to do? I don't know about you, but the second someone tells me I have to do something, the first thing that I do is go, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything. Fuck you. So stop telling people they have to do something. Listen to them.
And the problem with
Empathize.
that is,
Empathy. Sometimes you have to grow up. Fuck you. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm an adult. I can vote for whoever I want, whenever I want.
yeah. Well, and the problem is that those people that they're pushing you that you have to vote for are bought and paid for by the same people you're calling a fascist.
And again,
That's
regardless of that, the point of all of this is admit that there are problems and things that you don't like with Talarico. Admit it. Admit it. That's what we need to do.
You need to stop being.
That's what we need to do. We need to admit it and have conversations and say, this is why I'm choosing to vote for this person. Talk about what is bad about the other person. Talk about holding people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any politician more inspiring than Talarico. And you are allowed to have that feeling. There are a lot of other people that don't feel that way, that still don't like the Republican Party. And their reasoning is valid too. And if you disagree with it, then we can have that conversation. But sitting here and saying you gotta vote for him, this is like, again, nobody wants to be told we're not voting for Paxton. Paxton's a piece of shit. The whole point is we've got multiple different issues going on here. We've got multiple different issues going on here. We've got black people who are sitting here saying, we're upset. Paxton, it will not be exciting. Paxton is a piece of shit. I'm not listening to that anymore. We've got black people saying, I want to support progressive policies, but I don't want people to just assume I'm going to vote for them. I want people to actually earn it. Show me they're good people. Show me they're worthy of my vote. Now, again, those same people may come down to it and go, I'm comparing the two and I'm still going to vote for this person, even though I feel they didn't do enough. But what will happen if you, as a voter, as a progressive, as a whoever, come in and say, you have to vote for this person. You have to vote. You have to do it. The second someone says I have to, the first thing I'm going to think is, no, the fuck I don't. I disagree that Talarico is a middle of the road safe candidate. Is he as progressive as I would want? No. But I disagree that he is a middle of the road safe candidate.
The fact that he even brings up religion makes him not a safe candidate.
But again, this is the problem. We sit here and we don't get involved in primaries as a whole. We don't get involved in primaries as a whole, and then we complain about our choices. Or we sit here and instead of voting for who we want in the primaries, we vote for who we think will win. That's dumb. I'm sorry. In a primary, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That guarantees that you've got no real argument as to why we should be progressing in any way, shape, or form. Conservative Democrat will not win You're a child. Prove it.
You're a child.
Your face is a child.
Your mom's a child. Sorry.
Well, as a progressive myself, a conservative Democrat could absolutely win me. It depends what their fundamentals are. Because in the end, that's what matters. That's what matters to me most. You prove it with every word. Oh, got
I bet
him.
her grandson set up her TikTok.
My 19-year-old would disagree that I'm a child.
Somebody needs to put the filter back on Mama's phone.
Some of us can't get to the voting station due to disability, and that is a problem. That is an absolutely a problem.
We started a transportation campaign with our campaign. Was transportation, education, registration is the, we can't talk about the big issues until you get the foundation. If you can't even get to vote, how can I convince you to vote for me if I can't even get you to the poll to vote? So we started that. And there's a lot of great people that have volunteered to give rides, and hopefully in November those people will, stick to their commitments, and especially in these rural areas, you got people that live out on a hill in a holler somewhere,
And I would never vote third party for a presidential candidate because a third party person cannot win ever. As long as the Electoral College exists, a third party candidate cannot win. That being said, I will do everything in my power to make sure that Newsom is not the Democratic candidate at all. And if you don't want Newsom to be the Democratic candidate, you better, but you believe in progressive ideals, you better get off of your ass and vote in the primaries. You better, if you are an independent and your state doesn't allow you to vote as an independent, get off your ass and register as a Democrat to get a progressive to win. A female absolutely could win. A female actually got a got the popular vote. A third party can't win in our current system. Female absolutely can win.
Know who's all running yet? I mean, I know it's super early, but
I don't even care about the 2020 election right now.
that's where I'm at. Like, what? Why are we even?
And again, when it comes down to it, I vote in the primaries for the direction I want the country to go. I vote in the general election for who most aligns with my fundamentals, and then some. That is how it works. That is what I do.
AOC Kamala ticket.
Do you have to vote? Nobody has to vote. Nobody has to vote. Should you vote? Yes.
As a disabled person.
Should everyone have the ability and the ease of voting? Yes.
I don't understand why we haven't used the technology, which I do understand. I know why they don't want us to vote, but let's just pretend like I don't know that. Why haven't we used the technology that we have sitting in our hands every day with our thumbprints and be able to vote from home or from work or wherever you're at? Just get on and vote. Have a window. If we can literally do our taxes, we can do our banking, we can do everything else that is sensitive and important, why can't we vote?
Aaron, here's the thing. We need to stop worrying about the president as a whole and start worrying about, like, when we say, you know, we want a real progressive in as president. I actually don't care in terms of presidency. I want someone who aligns with my fundamentals. Honestly, that is the only thing I care about when it comes to who is president. That's it. And when I say fundamentals, I mean fundamentals. Where we need to start worrying, if we want a more progressive society, we need to start worrying about local and state positions, because that's how you make the change. If your focus is on the presidency and getting someone progressive, you will lose every time. If that is your super focus. Hey, Mama Bear. And again, I want a progressive president. Ideally, in the long run, that is absolutely what I want. But it's not going to happen if all we care about, if our focus is on getting a progressive candidate to be president. Because in the end, what convinces people that progressive ideals and progressive values and progressive anything is good is how those people run in local and state positions. You'll grow up someday and regret your comments. Man, what is...
When are we going to grow up, Mike?
47 ain't grown up anymore?
I know
Friggin'
it.
Gen X, man.
35 ain't even, got a whole teenager in school. Yeah, now he was saying, why do we need representatives if we can't vote by phone? Just just yuck. If you want to have a conversation, like, what is the point? We're over here trying to have a good conversation and you just want to troll.
I believe that earn my vote is what the primaries are for once the candidates are chosen. You know, here's the thing. I don't agree, but I think if we were talking about a perfect world where freedom was absolute, where equality and equity were real, where racism didn't exist, where we weren't fighting a racist system, I think you could say that. The problem comes is we're not in a perfect world, and we are still dealing with people that have been harmed by this system. And again, do I think the earn my vote statements should go out there? No. But I think the earn my vote statements have come out because too many people are saying you must vote blue no matter what. I think the blue no matter who statements are what are causing the earn my vote statements. I think every election is an earn my vote. I think every person running should have to earn everyone's vote, should be running. I think if you believe that James Talarico, no, progressive is literally how society has run. Society would not exist anymore without progressiveness. Literally everything we are dealing with in society is thanks to progressive values and ideals. Like all the stuff that you think is so good that you think have to do with conservative ideals are actually thanks to progressive ideals. So literally we've, and all of global society is thanks to progress. Every good thing that has happened in society has been thanks to progress and progressive ideas and values. All the things that have hurt people are thanks to conservative values. Anyways, and that's where the problem is, Philip, is what we are dealing with is too many people. For members of marginalized communities, BIPOC communities, for members of the LGBTQIA community, people that look like me don't realize how privileged of a statement vote blue no matter who is. Okay? Mm-hmm. That is an insanely privileged statement to make. I understand why we make it, but it is privileged because me, as a man who is a Christian with my skin tone, is going to be in a better place, is going to be okay, whether it's a moderate Democrat or a progressive Democrat. I'm not worried. Heck, you could argue that even if it was a moderate Republican, I would still be okay because I'm a male and I have the skin tone that I have. So it's a very privileged statement to make, to say vote blue no matter who. And we as a people don't realize that sometimes. And again, this started as a difference between data, the going for data as opposed to going for what people are feeling. And we're also dealing with the problem that there are a lot of people that are very scared and feel as though their perspectives, their feelings, their experiences aren't being listened to, because I know, at least in the case of what happened today, they did get listened to. I think there's a feeling that it's not being taken seriously. And I think that might be the problem. And again, I believe that Scott is taking it seriously. I just think the way Scott's brain works is he goes to the data too. I mean, I disagree with him on some of the data when it comes to what's going on in this country. But I'm also, again, not part of the same community that Kia is. So it's easy for me to compartmentalize both of those statements. For someone who is a member of the BIPOC community, it's not, because they're scared to death.
Gotta go. It's summer break and my kids are hollering at each other.
Okay.
So I gotta go be the grown up in the room.
All right. Thanks for coming up.
Bye.
Bye. This is, again, I've said this before, and I will say this again. None of these conversations are easy. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget what the other side is going through. Now, again, I don't know. This just isn't easy. It's not easy. None of this is easy. It's been a day already. It has. It has been a day already. But again, if all of them turn blue, but we don't get any real change about it, with it, then what does it matter? What do you think about Justin? Justin who? You mean James? No, my governor is not a piece of shit. Nope. My governor is great. Well, that's, yeah, because parties and the colors of those parties mean nothing. Texas was always conservative. Well, not always. Texas was conservative. Not all conservative, but and all of Texas isn't red. All of Texas isn't conservative. Again, I think the problem is we need to be realistic about what's going on. We need to talk about facts as much as feelings. Now we need to validate the feelings. And we need to understand that there are times for validating feelings and there are times they're talking about facts. And sometimes those aren't. Those don't have places in the same space. Or at least at the same moment. We just got to be careful. None of this is easy. Why would I want to vote for conservatives? Conservatives are all that's wrong with the world. It wasn't the end of Democrat. Just 15 years ago, Texas had a Democrat governor. I think it was 15 years ago, right around. $30. So, post LBJ. Texas has a voting problem, just like a lot of southern states. I mean, gerrymandering isn't affected technically for state seats, but yes, when it comes to other seats, sure, gerrymandering can be a problem. But again, if only 15 to 25% or 40% of a district comes out to vote, then how can we guarantee that it's a gerrymandering problem? Red sees progressive as socialist. They will only vote conservative. Red don't know what socialist is. People need to start having conversations. People need to learn how to talk to each other again. Voted blue. I mean, it depends what you're talking about. We voted for a blue governor. But voted for Trump as a whole. Uh, productive conversation is so hard now. It takes a lot of to have a conversation about stuff that is so emotional and personal to people for valid reasons. We have to, it takes more work. It takes a lot more work, and being willing to sit in anger and frustration sometimes and not and that's it. I don't think anyone knows Texas. Just like nobody knows any state. I think people love to think that they know everything. Hey, Siberio. That's the problem. Everyone thinks they know. And because they know, they don't listen to anybody else. Even though they don't know. I get what they're saying. For like 2 generations, communism, socialism was a big bad hanging over our heads. It was taught kids were hiding under desks. Yep. That is why when people say it, I ask them what they think it means. And you know what? They never answer. Or maybe they do, and this app filters it out because they don't want us to have this conversation. I don't know. But I have found in general, people only know what they have been told it means. You mean James? His name is James, not Justin. And I don't have an opinion. I always feel bad when people that I know are on the same team when we go through this. Because I also know that to some extent we have to go through this. What's my opinion on Fetterman? Hate him. That's my opinion on Fetterman. Pretty sure he means James Talarico. Ghost. But anyway, either way, don't have an opinion. All I can do is talk about why I think Paxton is bad and why I think Talarico is better. And listen to people, listen to their frustrations. Was needed. You know, I hope you don't need to apologize, Philip. Look, we are all doing the best we can, and your frustrations are valid. I think the problem with text is they always come out in the wrong way. Well, not always. They can easily come out the wrong way. It's hard to get nuance via text chat. There are people that are frustrated and angry and sad and all this other stuff right now out of Texas politics, to the extent it is now. They don't live here. They don't understand what's happening here or what it's like here. Yep. And that is also that is a completely separate problem, but yes, it's also a valid one. That is probably one of the most unfortunate parts of the internet, is it probably makes people feel like they know what's going on, or they're there, or they're interacting with it to an extent that they're not. But, you know, some of these people are listening to people that are there and expressing the frustration that they're hearing from people that live there. But, yep, I get it. I get it. What's up, Nate? How you doing, buddy? Sorry, I didn't see you and say hi. It doesn't apply per se. That is true. But in many ways, I have seen from interacting with people that do live in Texas, there are a lot of similarities, especially between North Carolina and Texas. Is it exactly the same? Of course not. But there are quite a few similarities between the two. But that is also why I say what we need to do is talk about what we see as good and what we see as bad, and why we would vote for Talarico instead of telling people that they have to do something. That's my opinion, no matter which state we're talking about and no matter which candidates we're talking about. I can tell you why I would or wouldn't vote for somebody. I would never tell someone they have to vote for anybody. I love James Talarico and have seen polls that show him ahead. What do you know? I mean, I think he has a better chance of beating Paxton than he would Cornyn. And we'll see how it goes. I think Talarico as a whole is better than Paxton for a myriad of reasons. And I hope that he and the people that support him are able to reach enough people and show that he is worth their time and their vote. Because again, it's not just on Talarico, it's also on the people that support him. It's both. None of us should be saying you have to do something. Because again, we talked about it before. If someone tells me that I have to do something, my first response is, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to vote. Disagree with you, Mr. Rum. There's a lot of people that don't think he is progressive at all. And that's the point, right? Y'all are focused on words and not actually caring about what either side stands for, either person stands for. It's not about what a person stands for anymore. It's what are they running as? What do they call themselves? I don't care what you call yourself. I care what you stand for. And I care how that aligns with my fundamentals. And that's what I will say. I think James Talarico aligns with my fundamentals way more than Paxton does. I think Paxton is a racist, a sexist, a misogynist, a narcissist, a liar, a cheat. And while I don't think Talarico is perfect, I believe he cares about people. I know he cares about the separation of church and state. I believe he believes in a woman's right to their own body. Those are some strong words. Yep. And I get those strong words based on his actions. The new abortion bill introduced in North Carolina scares the crap out of me. It scares the crap out of me too, Aaron. I believe that of the two people, James Talarico believes that all people, no matter your race, religion, gender, or identity, deserve rights, respect, dignity, and safety. And that's my line. That is my line. That is above all else the thing that I care about most. And I will support someone even if I disagree with them on a lot of things because of it. Now that's me. That's me. That is not any of you. I will not tell any of you that you have to look at things the same way I do. And that is why I will never say vote blue no matter who. That is why I will never tell anyone that they must do something. I will tell everyone why I do what I do. And if you agree with me on it, great. And if not, that is your right as well. Now, depending on what your choice is after, who knows what that could mean with, that could that interfere with a relationship? Sure it could. Because we all have the right to make our choice. and make our decisions based on those. Why you're agreeing with me so much today? Because I think in the end, I think a lot of people actually agree on more things. Added your podcast to my listening app. Can't wait to check it out. Thank you, Vintage. I appreciate that. We need as a group of people, as humans. So this is what I say. And again, I can't speak for anyone else or what happened today. I know there are going to be days where the only thing we will have is our fundamentals. Every decision that I make, if you think Paxton easy, then you are, you lack humanity and empathy, and you do not, and you don't get to be here. I mean, again, the man calls himself a Christian and got a divorce because he cheated on his wife. He endangered the lives of women who had medical issues to make sure they couldn't get an abortion. It is bad logic. And not many did vote for Paxton. And again, I have an issue with a lot of Christians. And the idea of Christian family values. But again, what we experience today is, oh yeah, the runoff was atrocious on both sides. What we experienced today is the hardest part of what we're doing. Right? What we experience today is the hardest part of what we're trying to do in this community. It is the hardest part of what we're trying to do in this community. We are learning to talk again. We are learning to communicate again. And arguably that's on all sides. Right? Arguably that's on all sides. I think members of marginalized communities have every right to not trust anything that someone who looks like me says, ever. Which is why I've always said that people that look like me need to do the work to earn the vote. And I say that in the sense of, if we want to be trusted, we need to show that we can be trusted. We need to live in such a way that we can be trusted. Not just understands it, he believes in it. I think they all understand it. They just don't believe in it. They don't believe it should exist. So they are making arguments that act like it actually means something different. We are going to have rough points in this community. We are going to have failures in this community. I'm telling you right now, every single one of you, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen a lot. Because you don't just magically learn how to communicate again. How do you learn? This is a question. We're going to school, guys. How do we learn? What's the best way to learn? By failing. And then learning from your failure. You learn more by failure than you do by success. For decades, we have tried to pretend that that the best thing we can do is never shown that we fail. Yeah, we had some struggle at the start, Lily. There was I think miscommunication. Poor communication in some sense. That caused some large amount of frustration. And we're learning from it. And it's not even that you learn not to make the same mistakes, because sometimes we'll make the same mistakes a lot, depending on what we're trying to get out of. It's gonna take more than one failure for us to get out of it. The key is that we actually want to learn, that we want to change, we want to get better, and we actively show that we are trying to do that. Again, I think part of the problem for people that look like me, right, is that when we see people from a different community that react in a way that doesn't make sense to us, we struggle to comprehend that kind of anger because it's not what we experience. Like, again, if you aren't a member of the BIPOC community, we have no idea what it's like to grow up as a part of that community. We have no idea the kind of it doesn't matter how many times we have a conversation with someone from that community, we will never fully understand what they are going through. The deep anger, frustration, and more that comes, fear that comes with what's going on right now. Lack of trust. Again, as someone who looks like me, seeing a YT man win over a black woman is, for someone who looks like me, it feels like 6 1/2 dozen of the other. I in terms of my willingness to support, I'm fine supporting either. But for a member of the BIPOC community that have been, you know, passed over because of the color of their skin for literally since the dawn of this nation in general, it probably feels like a slap in the face, regardless of how much you like Talarico. As long as Gina, Talarico, and all the other Dems keep hitting on data center costs and water shortages, they have a real chance. Sure. Bondi will appear before Congress. She's being treated for cancer now. Or at least a delay. Just tired of trying to get people to want better for themselves and others. Cat, not just themselves, but others. I think it's hard for people to. You got groups of people that think that life is just hard and that's the way life is, and there's no way around that. And then there's the other half that only care about making their lives better at the expense of everybody else. So it's and that again, that's why we talked about that, Philip. Yep. Yeah, she went live while the results were coming in, so we got to see her reaction to it. Now the real race begins for her. I made a Threads post talking about how we are a two-party system, but we aren't a two-party society. We can't blame all YT people either. And I appreciate that you, Lewis, have that understanding. But me as a YT person shouldn't have that perspective. I need to interact in life with the understanding that all people of, all the entire BIPOC community has every right to not trust me at all. And my job as a man who looks like I do to be different. And this is where the problem comes in. You, as a member of the BIPOC community, you have every right to trust or not trust whomever you want or however you want. Hey, Shane. You have that right. Me as a YT person, I need to assume, because you guys have every single one of you have every right to look at me as the problem, as part of the problem. I have to assume that you are going to see me that way. And instead of getting upset about it, which is what a lot of people that look like me do, I have to be different. That's what it takes. I have to be different. When Kia was expressing her frustration, I knew that I could see both perspectives. I can see her perspective as a member of the BIPOC community But I could also see Scott's perspective as someone who does also like data. Trained as an analyst, I like data. The hard part is sitting in that balance between when data is helpful and when data is not helpful. And in this case, with the Texas race, especially when you're talking about who will get supported and why, data may not be the best case for this. I mean, there's plenty of other areas and states and races that we can talk data on. Data may not be the thing that we need to talk about when it comes to Texas. That's all. Because I don't think the problem will be fixed with data. The real problem is there are angry people in the BIPOC community, specifically the Black community, over what happened in the primaries. Now, again, it's easy for me to say, this is my perspective on primaries. But I'm not a member of the Black community. I'm not a Black person. So it's a privilege for me to be able to look at it from that perspective. Yeah, I know I'm in overtime. And this is the hard part about all this. Yes, sometimes we need to listen. Sometimes we need to take a breather. Sometimes we need to have a hard conversation. I don't know what will come of what happened today. But I hope what will come of it is I hope the understanding of the belief in fundamentals will be enough for a real conversation to have and growth to come from it. I can't always win. And again, Lewis, I think that's amazing. And I appreciate it and am thankful for it. Because you, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community and a Puerto Rican, have every right to not have that mentality, not have that perspective. Yeah. And Silver, that's the thing, right? Both statements are true. But the problem is both statements can't happen in the same conversation, depending on who you're interacting with. Because of the realities of the world that we lived in, or that we live in, you know? It's, yeah. If you're ever in Mississippi, let me know. I can make a barbecue happen quickly. Hell yeah, Siberio. I appreciate that. This administration is an existential threat for so many of us. And again, why are we struggling as a community, right? Why are we struggling as a community? We are struggling as a whole because of how much of an existential threat this administration is. And conservatives are in how they are supporting things. I think if we as a society, as coalitions, saw ourselves still moving forward and not moving backwards, we wouldn't be having the kind of issues that we are having. You know? If that makes sense. It's because of how much of an existential threat conservatives, Christian nationalists, this administration are, that there is a heightened level of anxiety. Yeah. The vote, again, for those that look like me, I can see how for someone like Kia, talking data as they see the Voting Rights Act getting overturned, for someone who's a member of the BIPOC community, especially the Black community, I can see how as a woman, someone looking like me who's talking about data when Roe v. Wade got overturned, I can see how that can feel like they're not listening, like it's not like they're being, the fears and the anger and whatever is getting pushed away. I can see that. I can't understand it because I'm not a part of either of those communities, but I could see if I tried to put myself in their shoes and it was and the voting of people that look like me was constantly attacked, and my bodily autonomy as a man was being constantly attacked, I could see how I could feel that way. Data can be useful. That doesn't mean data can be helpful in every situation, in every conversation. I think there are times where we hope that data can make people feel better. And it can. It can make people feel better. It doesn't always mean it's the best time. Yeah, but we weren't taught to balance those, right, Prairie? We weren't taught to balance facts and feelings. Have a problem with that sentiment when it's just not their preferred candidate. Sure, it can totally depend on what their reasoning for it is. Sure. There's always nuance to it, Aaron. Absolutely. I think telling a member of the Black community to vote blue no matter who in this situation is not good, is not right, is not helpful. It's not community building. It's not coalition building. It's creating a divide that we should be trying to shrink. I mean, again, is it People need to at least Google and learn what socialism actually is. That's also true. That's also true. You're right, Silver. That may be true as well. But well, let's look at it this way. If you were a member of the Black community, how do you see your life getting better no matter who is in office at minimum for the next 2 years? Knowing who is in the Supreme Court and the realities of things like the filibuster and that we have a Republican president. Hey, Teach. I think if you are a member of the Black community and you have seen your voting rights and your representation getting taken by the top judicial voice of the land, knowing how our government works, their voting, they already feel like their vote has been taken away and is pointless. And then telling them that if we don't vote blue no matter who, they may never vote again, they're like, what does my vote matter now as it is? Again, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And in some situations with some people, that might be the right thing to say. But this is where reading the room is also necessary. We have members of the BIPOC community in here. We have Black people in this community. And we do need to pay attention to how we, not just what we say, but how we say it and how other people can interpret it. Can that make things difficult at times? Sure. Sure can. Again, people sometimes think I'm a slow thinker or something like that, or I'm like confused. But that's not it. It's while I'm talking, I'm trying to consider how everything I say is perceived by everyone around me. And sometimes I fail at it. I fail at it a lot. It's not easy. I know you do, Silver. I know you do. I'm just saying as a whole. I'm talking I'm taking what you're saying and trying to make it a learning moment for everybody. Well, again, Carla, we have been taught to not. We have lost the. We have lost the ability to, as a whole, we have lost empathy in society, because that is. Projection comes when you get this idea of, when you get this when you live being told that your perspective is the only right perspective. Of course, Prairie. I think this is an important conversation, and I don't have anything going on for a bit. So if staying on helps us learn, I think. Not even just our fellow Americans teach, just our fellow humans. Empathy for the lived experiences of other people and how they are different than ours and how they are valid. And those are the two things, right? Not only do we need to accept that other people's lived experiences are different, but that they're valid. And we go back to the unfounded ultra-patriotism. Yep. And we wag number one finger. And yes, we get American exceptionalism or Christian exceptionalism. And you're right. America was built on stolen land. You are right, Jesse. No argument there. I was so naive 20 years ago. I really thought we were past most of this. Yeah. That's fair, Silver. I didn't realize how much of a bubble I lived in. I thought we were past it too. What I didn't realize is that in the end, they're just hiding it all. No babies for my future? I think if we start with truthful and uncomfortable communication, we could see some progress. I think I agree, your fave friend. I think we need to go into it with the understanding that we are going to be uncomfortable. Both sides are going to be uncomfortable. And I think both sides need to be willing to be uncomfortable. I think even in this current situation, there is a problem that even if you are on the right side of a conversation, that you aren't willing, that you still feel that need to be right. Even if you are right, there's a need to be right. And there's a need to make sure that the other person knows that you're right. And this is, I mean, again, you may absolutely be 100% right. The question is are you going into the conversation with that perspective of I'm right and you're wrong, or I want to have a conversation with someone and let us talk and have uncomfortable conversations, and hopefully we can come to some sort of understanding and maybe even agreement. Two-party illusion, same plantation, different masses. Okay. I mean, society isn't two-party. Constitution, unfortunately, makes it, and the Electoral College, unfortunately, makes it two-party. But society isn't two-party. Right now, I care more about society. We need more people to get out and vote. As long as only 15 to 25% of people get out and vote, we won't ever get the change that we want. In the primaries. In the primaries. As long as only 15 to 25% of voting age people get out and vote in the primaries, we will never get the change that we want. We will only get the change. We will only get the society that those 15 to 25% want. And that's what we've been dealing with. You always get the right people to vote for, Sassy. Money doesn't tell you who to vote for. Money doesn't force you to not research everyone who's running. I've been interviewing these people that aren't getting money in politics, and nobody's watching the videos. I have interviewed hundreds of people, very progressive people that want true change. Hey, Corbett. The internet gives us the capability of giving name recognition and visibility in a way that money is not necessary. But we have to be willing to do the work. And so it's whether it's my content, someone else's content, or their content. People have to be willing to do the work. How you doing, Corbett? How's your day going? Good. I think too many people that identify as Democrats focused very much. There's a lot in Texas. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably going to be getting off somewhat soon, but we were having a really important conversation. So I think it's easy for me outside to say I know why things didn't happen. I do know there are people that are angry. Yesterday, a friend and I taped voter registration cards in front of doors in my neighborhood in Northeast Tarrant County. Hell yeah. Tarrant County. What district is that? Thank you, Linda. 4? Okay. Between Fort Worth and Dallas. Gotcha. I have someone who I've interviewed a couple times that just won their runoff in District 5. That's why I was wondering. Because I know part of theirs, I knew Torrance sounded familiar, and I knew Dallas was in their county, so part of Dallas was in their district. Here's the thing, guys, and again, we'll hopefully tomorrow. I don't know what'll happen tomorrow. I never know what'll happen any day. Let's be fair. Guys, please go and watch these interviews with amazing people that are running for office. Share them, even with people that aren't in your district. Help these people that want true change get the kind of name recognition and visibility necessary to show that money doesn't decide who wins or loses. And I think we need to get to that point. If we don't get to that point, we're going to keep struggling. We're not going to get money out of politics until we show them that money doesn't decide politics. Oh, I'm fine. There's some different things about this. Your fave. It's also just warm in here, but money decides who runs. Not always. There's a lot of people that don't have money that are running. Right, that's your homework. The word of God versus the devil. Not everyone, there is no word of God. The Bible is not the word of God. And this is coming from someone who's been a Christian entire life. It can be done, just takes a lot of work, a lot of grassroots activities. Yes. If we have so many issues right now, it's going to take a lot of work and it's going to be exhausting. There is no getting around it. There is no getting around it. There just isn't. I'm coming out. I was at a down point for a little bit, struggling making content, all that stuff, and I'm starting to come out of it, which is why you saw a video that I made today. So sometimes everyone needs a rest. Everyone needs a rest. Everyone needs to take a break, you know? All right, guys. Thank you so much for everyone being here. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the gifts, the subs, all of that. Again, every weekday morning, I'm live at 9:30 in the morning over on the Tube of You. And then I go live on TikTok at 10. Please watch the content. Please help get the word out. I'm also raising money to try and go to some of these candidates in person and get up close and personal. And I would love to make this podcast something that we can actually go out and help. Like, I want to grow what we're doing in terms of informationally. But that only can happen with your help in helping this podcast grow. So obviously money's tight for people. So if all you can do is watch, I totally understand it. But if you have the capabilities, I do have a GoFundMe that can help. That makes it possible for me to go and visit some of these candidates. So you guys are amazing, just the way you are. And I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Go get some sun if it's out. Get your vitamins. Go laugh. Laughing is a form of resistance. And I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye, guys.